Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And although it's been fairly quiet in South Africa, at a political level it's been really interesting. And I'll tell you why. Well, if we start off with the EFF, now Julius Malema, who is facing these assault charges before the courts right now, is squealing like a stuck pig, saying that the ANC are out to get him out of the political arena. Well, that would be a huge bonus for South Africa, let's face it. But the real news is what is going on within the ANC. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. First off, the entire ANC ministry, their collective IQ, if it came to sugar cubes, could be measured in a teaspoon. Okay, I think you know what I'm talking about. And there's this huge fracturing that is going on between the two factions. And there are probably other sub-factions within those two major factions. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. But the two major factions are, of course, the Zuma faction, which includes Dlamini-Zuma, Ace Magashule, and, of course, people like Julius Malema from the EFF. On the other side, you've got Ramaphosa, the Motsepis, and Ramaphosa's hanger-oners, and, of course, that includes the Democratic Alliance, who want to form a coalition if Ramaphosa sets up his own little ANC. I don't know what they'll call it, but whatever happens, it's a very, very interesting time in politics in South Africa right now. And it becomes even more interesting when the cracks start opening up and you start seeing stuff coming out into the public arena in the mainstream media, which basically confirm that this is not a happy little ANC. This is a very conflicted bunch of, to be quite blunt, idiots running the country. I'll tell you more. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma has rejected Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula's apology, saying his despicable behaviour should be dealt with by the ANC's top 6 officials and the National Executive Committee. Well, as I said, you've got these factions. This wouldn't normally happen. In a scathing letter addressed to ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule, he's in the Zuma camp, remember? Dlamini-Zuma, who is also a member of the governing party's NEC and National Working Committee, said Mbalula's disparaging statements about her unsuccessful 2017 ANC presidential campaign was a reflection of patriarchy and misogyny. I wonder who made those words for her, because clearly it's a few scales above her ability. Anyway, let's continue. Dlamini-Zuma went on to say, it was also an affront to women leaders of South Africa, the continent and the world. In the 2-page letter dated March the 9th, Dlamini-Zuma said Mbalula's choice to desecrate International Women's Day celebrations by embarking on an onslaught against her and other female leaders because he had no respect for women and political consciousness had long left him. Dlamini-Zuma wrote, indeed, the ANC and society must feel the full fury of our revolt. I am inspired by the reaction of ordinary members of our revolutionary movement who decided to speak out against this despicable behavior of Minister Mbalula. I request you to share this letter with the ANC national officials and suggest that we have a dedicated discussion during the upcoming NEC meeting on the issue of the emancipation of women. Now, there's a bit of conflicted information here. Okay, here you've got black privileged billionaire Dlamini-Zuma talking about the emancipation of women in South Africa. Now, the reality is that South Africa is the rape capital of the world. And in most rape cases, one of the most important bits of information is called DNA testing. So that the forensic side can do a DNA test and say, yeah, that's the bugger who did it. Well, with this incredibly incompetent ANC government, not one DNA test has been done since the 1st of January 2021. And of course, Bekele was surprised out of his boots last week because he didn't know no forensic testing of DNA was being done. Said, oh, it's because we don't have the money. And the tenderpreneurs, the black privilege to provide us with the stuff, well, we haven't been able to pay them. This is how completely cactus South Africa is. So, on one hand, you've got Dlamini-Zuma talking about the emancipation of women. On the other hand, you've got Ramaphosa saying gender-based violence must stop and we're going to act on it. But the reality is that no DNA tests are being made in South Africa. In fact, they've got a waiting list now of 175,000 DNA tests. And I'm not pulling a zoom on you, that is the correct figure, 175,000. What chance have you got of getting that as evidence in a court case in the next 10 years in South Africa because of the incompetence of the police force under the Shladi Mutseneng of the ANC cabinet? And I'm talking about Police Minister Bekele. What a joke. Really, this is crap. The whole thing is crap. And let's continue. Dlamini-Zuma said, I have trust in the leadership to take the minister to task in the interest of our revolution and struggle for a non-sexist South Africa where women are emancipated and equal. Well, I would suggest, Dlamini-Zuma, that you should be taking that little talk to Bekele and ask him why there are no forensic DNA tests being done since 1st of January 2021. Anyway, she went on to say she has decided not to respond to Mbalula in the media in order to give the ANC leadership a chance to deal with the matter internally. She said, I did not want to respond in the media because I think this matter should be discussed internally so that we can assist our minister and others to regain revolutionary consciousness. Wow. Big words for a woman with a very, very low IQ. Yeah, I'm talking about Dlamini-Zuma. Revolutionary consciousness. What does that bring up into your mind? All these wonderful pictures of communism and the national democratic revolution, black economic transformation, all the wonderful things that the ANC are going to do. Well, they never do it, do they? It's a load of crap. They're all in the pig's tray, feeding themselves, making themselves very wealthy, having a wonderful life, while they don't give diddly squat to the rest of the population in South Africa. That's the reality. Let's continue. In a Twitter rant last week, Mbalula, who is also an ANC NEC member, attacked Dlamini-Zuma, insinuating that she had vied for the party's job at the behest of her former husband, ex-President Jacob Zuma, who had wanted to create a family dynasty in the ANC, also known as an oligarchy. And what the reality is, what you've got in politics in South Africa right now, this is a reality, is you've got a fractured ANC, two main sides. The corrupt side is the Ace Magashula Dlamini-Zuma oligarchy, basically under the banner of Jacob Zuma. And you might have noticed that Jacob Zuma's son, Edward Zuma, recently said he wants to be president in 2024. This is the guy who's peddling illegal cigarettes during the lockdown last year. This is, you can't make this shit up. And of course, on the other side, as I've said before, you got Ramaphosa, and they are just as corrupt, but not so blatantly corrupt as the Ace Magashula faction. And let's remember, Ace Magashula is facing arrest, or he has been arrested for fraud and corruption, and he is wanting to run South Africa. Actually, the cap fits when you think about it, because it's a gangster state. Why not have one of the mafia heads running the country? Bingo! Anyway, let's continue. Umbalula, who supported Dlamini-Zuma before the 2017 Nasrec ANC elective national conference, but switched political allegiance to President Cyril Ramaphosa after he took over as party leader, also attacked Water and Sanitation Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, who is one of the most incompetent ministers in the world today. I mean, look, in South African terms, she's pretty well par for the course because they're all bloody incompetent. But I can understand why he attacked her. Anyway, one of the presidential candidates is Lindiwe Sisulu. In another tweet, he demanded to know how much Sisulu had spent on her unsuccessful campaign. This was after Sisulu had posted a picture of all the ANC presidential candidates, including herself, Ramaphosa, Dlamini-Zuma, and former presidency minister Jeff Radebe at a dinner Zuma hosted in 2017. In her letter, Dlamini-Zuma said Umbalula's utterances flew in the face of the ANC's gender-based policy, which states that women are not seen as forming a society separate from men, and that it was incumbent on men and women to join forces to eradicate patriarchal practices and stereotypical attitudes. Now, this just clearly demonstrates how completely out of touch this stupid woman, Dlamini-Zuma, is. Because she's talking about, in Maslow's law of human needs, she's talking about right at the top here, we're talking about, let's get this right. Again, big words, which clearly someone's written for her. She says to join forces to eradicate patriarchal practices and stereotypical attitudes. As I said, with Maslow's law, that's right up the top of the pyramid. And what is actually happening in South Africa is right at the bottom of the pyramid, where people are just trying to fight for their own safety. And when you stop doing DNA tests and you're in the rape capital of the world, guess who the victims are? Women. There's a huge disconnect between what this stupid Dlamini-Zuma is talking about and the reality which is down here, which is the rape situation, the gender-based violence that's going on. It's like Marie Antoinette, who said famously hundreds of years ago when the whole of France was starving, she said, if there's no bread, let them eat cake. And we know what happened to Marie Antoinette. Well, hopefully the same will happen to the ANC leadership. Anyway, this is Dlamini-Zuma talking again. Women and girls still suffer from triple oppression, and they are burdened by unpaid care work, which is exploitative and undervalued. They are poor, hungry, unemployed, and do not participate fully in the economy. Well, I wonder why, Dlamini-Zuma. Well, I can tell you why. Because through black privilege, the ANC elite have completely cleaned out the public purse. It's now all in their back pocket. And that's why you, Dlamini-Zuma, are a billionaire. It's called corruption and fraud. Let's continue. Speaking to Pretoria News on Friday morning, Mbalula said he was aware of Dlamini-Zuma's letter to Magashule because it was discussed at the NWC meeting on Wednesday. During her To Do What She Wants, Mbalula said he had no idea why she was rejecting his apology, because she had initially told the NWC that she was not aware of my apology because she's not on social media. Mbalula said, I issued that apology voluntarily, without any duress, and that's it. I can't go beyond that. She must do what she wants. That matter was discussed by the NWC, but I am not a bearer of such, because I also saw the letter on social media. It was not shared with the NWC. But all those issues were raised and also spoken about. I issued my apology and withdrew that statement unreservedly on Twitter, where I publicized it. Nobody called me to do it. Even the officials have never called it. Ace has never called me. He went straight to the NWC. Normally they would call people and all that, but nobody called me, Mabulala said. So it's amazing that I should be discussed by the NEC when there is so much poverty around us and many challenged around us, and the NEC must pause and debate Mbalula. I withdrew that statement even though I believe in it, because I don't want to even try to explain, because I said it could be misconstrued as attacking her integrity. I did that. Nkosazana didn't have to call me and complain, or somebody. I withdrew it myself, but that letter was discussed by the NWC. I spoke, and Nkosazana spoke. Now, he's touching on exactly what I've been talking about here, where you've got the black privileged with Maslow's Law right at the top, talking about issues where they are privileged and they've got everything they need, and right at the bottom of that pyramid, you've got the great unwashed, the women who are not empowered. They fear for their lives, gender-based violence and rape. And of course the perpetrators against these women get away scot-free because there's no DNA testing in South Africa. You can't make this shit up. They're completely out of touch. Mbalula said Dlamini-Zuma's statement that he had lost his revolutionary consciousness was her assertion. He said, if I have lost revolutionary consciousness, why would I withdraw something unreservedly and not stand by it? He was referring to a statement he released after attacking Dlamini-Zuma, in which he said, it is regretful and unfortunate that my comment may have come across as an attack on the person and the integrity of Commander Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, as this was never the intention. He went on to say, I therefore unreservedly apologize to Commander Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and wish to assure her that I will keep her name out of any political battles and commentary. Now, the interesting part of that statement is political battles, the fracturing that is going on within the ANC. ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe could not be reached for comment. I wonder why. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.